Did you know that over 50% of marriages face a crisis at some point? I never thought mine would be one of them until the night my husband looked me in the eyes and said, "I'm leaving you." No warning, no explanation. Just those three words that shattered my world. At first, I thought it was a joke. We weren't perfect, but we were happy, or so I believed. But as I stared at him, searching for a sign of hesitation, all I saw was cold determination. And that's when I knew something was terribly wrong. We had been married for 6 years, 6 years of shared laughter, late-night talks, and dreams we built together. Of course, we had our ups and downs, but nothing that ever made me doubt us. Nothing that ever made me question his love. So when my husband walked in that evening, his face unreadable, and said, "I'm leaving you," my world stopped. I blinked, waiting for him to say something else, to take it back, to laugh and tell me it was just some cruel joke, but he didn't. He just stood there, silent, distant. "What?" My voice barely came out. "Why?" His answer, a simple shrug. "It's just not working anymore." Not working after 6 years, after everything we had been through? At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I had been too busy. Maybe I had stopped paying attention. Maybe I had missed the signs. But deep down, something felt off. This wasn't just about falling out of love. And when I started digging for the truth, what I found didn't just change everything. It left even him speechless. I stood there, frozen, as his words echoed in my ears. "I'm leaving you." Just like that. No fight, no warning, just a cold, emotionless statement that shattered everything I thought I knew. My hands trembled as I tried to make sense of it. My heart pounded so hard it felt like the walls were closing in. "But Troitus, why?" My voice was barely a whisper. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "It's just not working anymore." Not working? Was love supposed to be a machine? Something you could just switch off when it no longer suited you? I searched his face for a flicker of doubt, for anything that would tell me he didn't really mean it. But all I saw was distance, like he had already left long before speaking those words. Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not yet. I needed answers. I needed to understand how 6 years of love, promises, and memories could be tossed aside so easily. I replayed every moment of our marriage in my head, looking for something, anything that could explain this. Had I missed the signs? Had he been unhappy for a long time? Or was there something else? A gut-wrenching feeling settled in my stomach. Something wasn't right. And no matter how much it hurt, I knew one thing for sure. I had to find out the truth. Looking back, I started to see the cracks, the little things I had brushed aside, thinking they were just phases, just stress, just life. Lately, he had been distant, distracted. Conversations that once lasted for hours had dwindled into half-hearted nods and one-word replies. "How was your day?" would get a simple, "Fine." Date nights became rare. His phone was always face down, and when I reached for his hand, he would pull away, just slightly, but enough for me to notice. At first, I told myself it was just work. He had been busier than usual, coming home later, barely touching his dinner before heading straight to bed. But then came the canceled plans, the unexplained absences, the way his eyes seemed to hold a weight he wouldn't share, and the fights, or rather the lack of them. We used to argue like any couple, but lately, even when I got upset, he wouldn't fight back. He just checked out, like he had already made up his mind, like he was already gone. I had ignored the signs, convinced myself that love was enough to hold us together, that whatever storm we were in, we'd weather it like we always had. But now, standing in front of him, hearing him say, "I'm leaving you," I realized the storm had passed long ago, and I had been too blind to see the wreckage it left behind. The words kept replaying in my mind, "I'm leaving you." But no matter how many times I turned them over, they still didn't make sense. I needed answers. I deserved answers. So when he left for work the next morning, I did something I never thought I would. I went through his things, his drawers, his closet, his office desk. Nothing, but then I saw his laptop. With shaking hands, I opened it, scrolling through his emails, his messages. And that's when I found it, an email. Subject: "It's done." I told her. My breath hitched as I clicked it open. The message was short, but it hit like a bullet. I finally told her, "I'll be moving in by the end of the week. Can't wait to start our life together." A name followed at the bottom, a name I knew, my best friend. I felt like the ground had been ripped from under me. The air left my lungs, my vision blurred. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. But it was. He hadn't fallen out of love. He hadn't been struggling with our marriage. He had been planning this behind my back with the one person I had trusted the most. A sharp pain stabbed through my chest, but then something else rose. Anger. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a knife straight through my heart. And if he thought I would break quietly, he was about to be very, very wrong. In the days that followed, the pain was unbearable. Betrayal isn't just heartbreak. It's a kind of grief, mourning the love you thought was real, the person you thought you knew. But as the shock faded, I began to see things clearly. I realized how easily we assume love will hold everything together, even when the foundation is cracking. How silence in a relationship isn't always peace. It can be distance, growing wider until it's too late to cross. I had ignored the signs, convinced that if I just loved harder, everything would be okay. But love isn't just about feelings. It's about communication, honesty, and trust. And once trust is broken, love alone can't fix it. Now I know better. Love isn't about holding on at all costs. It's about choosing someone who chooses you back fully and completely. And next time, I won't just listen to words. I'll pay attention to actions, to effort, to the things left unsaid. Because love should never leave you questioning where you stand. Relationships can be complicated, and sometimes the truth hurts more than we ever imagined. But every experience teaches us something. About love, about trust, and most importantly, about ourselves. Have you ever been through something similar? Have you ever ignored the signs only to realize the truth too late? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you want to dive deeper into the lessons I learned from this, click on the next video where I discuss the biggest relationship mistakes and how to avoid them. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.